Thank you. Further debate. The member from Nepean Carleton.
Thank you very much, Speaker. It's my pleasure today to rise in debate for the issue of supply and the Supply Act. Obviously, the Supply Act talks about the intended expenditures, giving the government spending authority, and we will obviously vote on this later on to talk about the priorities of the Liberal government. But I'm going to take time to talk about the priorities of my constituents in Nepean Carleton, specifically for those who live in rural Ottawa. And they have seen their fair share of challenges since I was elected in 2006, and some of the issues that they've raised are very much on their minds each and every day in the Ontario Legislature. And I want to start by talking about an issue that I raised in the Legislature just yesterday, and it was the Lynwood Park water quality issue. I raised it. I'm very passionate about it. I've been working with my constituents for a number of years trying to improve their water quality. I've had motions in the Finance Committee, motions at Ottawa City Hall. I've written letters to ministers I brought. For example, the former Environmental Commissioner, Gord Miller, to this rural mobile home park. And Speaker, the problem with the water quality there is not only is it a poor aesthetic. I mean, it looks very bad. Look, we have water here. It's very clear. The water at Lynwood is brown. Sometimes has a golden tint to it. And it's not only aesthetically displeasing, it is not potable, so it's not fit for human consumption. On occasion, I have gone into one of the mobile homes there. I think there's 51 units, and I saw the taps were actually corroded. Can you believe that, Speaker? And I always point out to people that I live in the nation's capital. We are the nation's capital of a G8 country, and we actually have third world water quality at Lynwood Mobile Home Park. Now, when I raised this issue yesterday and I said that company that owns that mobile home park should be publicly shamed, they're named Killam Properties in Nova Scotia, no sooner did I have my statement, but I got up to my office and heard that this Killam Properties had called me. And they said, well, the MPP didn't do her job, and we provided them with this long list of things that I had done over the years with then City Councillor Doug Thompson and now City Councillor George DeRuse. And we talked about all of the things that we tried to do, including use the trickle system at Carlsbad Springs, and including trying to get the federal, provincial, and municipal governments in Russell, Ontario, and our federal government to open up an agreement with the municipality of Russell, but to hook into one of their water pipes that was going through the City of Ottawa. And of course, that wasn't an option. So I've been working on this for many, many years, and still my constituents have third world water quality. And until this Killam Properties was mentioned in the Ontario Legislature yesterday, they were happy to have this poor water quality. And I was on the phone with my husband this morning, Speaker, and we were talking about this group of wealthy individuals from Halifax and Dartmouth, and how they're all involved in their board of directors on various charities. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I sent a vial of water to each and every one of their charities and said, look at what they're actually doing in the nation's capital. So I suspect they must have somebody that does GR for them watching this, as they did yesterday, in order to call me. But I assure them that I will stand in my place in this floor of the Assembly with this microphone and this podium that I have, and I will defend the people that I represent. And I know I will not be representing them after 2018 because my riding will split. I will run in the newly created Nepean riding. That's where I live. But I can tell you, I'm always going to defend the people of Lynwood Village or Lynwood Park, Mobile Home Park, because they deserve it. That is affordable housing. I want to bring this because I want to talk a little bit about hydro, and hydro's next. But I have been to this mobile home park, and I have been with seniors there in the middle of winter. Minus 30 degrees outside in Ottawa, and it was very cold, and I was visiting with seniors there, and they couldn't even turn on their lights or their heat in the daytime because they couldn't afford it because of the government's time of use. So I feel that these folks have been abandoned by the Liberal government of Ontario, whether we're talking supply or budget or energy policy. They've been let down, and they've been let down by killing properties. And I look forward to getting another call from the President today chastising me. But that, as my husband would say, and my late father would remind them, is probably not a good idea. So I want to move on to some of the other challenges that rural Ottawa faces. And in particular, I want to talk about something I had the opportunity to speak about last week in the Ontario Legislature, right here, and engaged in a debate with the Minister of Energy, and that is the high cost to those who own greenhouses and farms and who are involved in agri-food in the province of Ontario. And Speaker, I mean, we can talk about this. You and I have chatted about this. It's a significant issue for our food security in the province of Ontario and the ability for our farmers to compete at market. And I'm not talking about the New York market, I'm talking about the market in the City of Ottawa and other places in Ontario. Because, as I mentioned in the Legislature last week, my friend Bob Mitchell owns a company called SunTech Greenhouses. His main product are these tomatoes. They're called the Little Miracles from Manotick, and anybody that's ever lived in Ottawa or is from Eastern Ontario knows this. They're delicious. They're in Farm Boy. They're in all of the different supermarkets in the City of Ottawa, and Lowell Green used to be the public voice of these Little Miracles from Manotick. So, Bob is working through high energy prices, was unable to run his lights this winter, and he finds that his product, side by side a Mexican tomato or a cucumber from Mexico, is 30% more expensive. We're pricing him out of the market as a result of high energy prices. And so if the government wants to talk about its intended expenditures, it's got to consider how their energy policy is driving Ontario business down. And that's not just Ontario businesses, it's also our food supply. And for anybody that wants to support our farmers, they ought to understand that we have to understand the burden that we put on them, which is the Green Energy Tax, which is the Green Energy Act. It is the HST, which has come in under this government. There was the neonics ban. There was the pesticide ban. Now we've got high hydro rates that are just driving Ontario businesses and, in particular, Ontario farmers, into very stressful situations. They're also major employers. And another major employer in rural Ottawa is my friend Fernando. He owns Carleton Mushrooms. I'm out there all the time. He and his wife Stacy have become friends of mine over the past decade. Fernando needs natural gas access. And the government's been promising to expand natural gas into rural areas across Ontario. To date, they haven't done so. And it would come at a high cost for Fernando, and in order for him to expand between, I believe he has 120 employees, if he were to expand, he would need natural gas. And that would come at the tune of about $2 million. Well, if the government wants rural Ottawa and it wants rural businesses, in particular those who are part of our food supply chain, to succeed, Speaker, what they need to do is expand natural gas in those areas. And I am very much in favour of that in the Osgoode ward of the City of Ottawa. Because not only Fernando, but there's a couple of other businesses on the Dalmeny Road that would benefit from having natural gas. And I'm thinking of the Peterson's Turf Farm, and a lot of people from Eastern Ontario will know the jingle, Peterson's Turf Farm, Peterson with a T. So I know all these jingles, Speaker, but that's I'm very much in favour of the Petersons getting access to natural gas and a couple of other areas. And then finally, I just want to talk about my friend Dwight Foster. Dwight has been a friend and supporter of mine for over 11 years. I've taken my good colleague here, Mr. Hardiman from Oxford, to some of the farms in rural Ottawa, in particular to see a robotic milker just outside of where Dwight is from. But the thing is, Dwight's running the largest grain elevator in Eastern Ontario, North Gore Greens it's called. His brother runs also a farm, and so many people would get their corn in Eastern Ontario. They would get their corn and perhaps even their strawberries and their pumpkins from my friends, the Fosters. And the high cost of energy is really hurting my friends in the agricultural sector. And again, Speaker, I want to reiterate that I will be their MPP for another 18 months, but if God willing I am re-elected to Nepean, my friends in Lynwood Mobile Home Park and my friends in the agricultural community in Carleton will always have a defender in me. And I will use my last 16, 18 months here as their MPP advocating for them, but when I am returned, I will continue to do it because they are good people. They follow the rules, they pay their taxes, they contribute to their economy. And what do they get in return from this Liberal government? Well, this Liberal budget, this Liberal supply measure that does nothing to benefit them. And I want to point out, many of these people were supporters of the Rideau Carleton Raceway. And in 2012, this government decided to destroy the horse racing sector in the province of Ontario. And I fought like the Dickens, Speaker, because I believe in these people. These people are the bread and the butter. They are the employers and they are the employees in rural Ottawa. Many people think Ottawa, ooh, Parliament Hill, beautiful buildings. Well, that's not just who we are. That's a segment of who we are, but there's a whole Ottawa outside of downtown Ottawa, and I represent it. And the people that I represent are good people. But I was out at the racetrack just the other day, and they're having a difficult time, Speaker. We're seeing less and less races. We're seeing a smaller and smaller pot. Just last week, I met with some members of the Ontario Harness Horse Racing Association, and you know what they're telling me? It's harder and harder and harder for them to not even continue to compete, but to get people to join up. And the government, it's fallen on deaf ears, Speaker, the ability to have a thriving horse racing industry in the province of Ontario as a result of what happened in 2012. And you'll recall, I stood here in this assembly. I filled these galleries with horse people. Even people took a bus from the city of Ottawa just to come up to hear that debate, to tell the government to stop its modernization plan and to keep those racetracks where they are. And although the Rideau Carleton Raceway remains, pots are down, races are down, and it's becoming more difficult for those not only breeders, not only riders, but also the businesses that are supported by that racetrack. And I'll continue to defend them, Speaker, because they're good people. They never thought they would ever have to engage in politics until the Liberal government came and stripped away their livelihood. And to me, if we want to talk about the intended expenditures of this government, I'm going to continue to say it's wrong-headed. And I'll give you another example. The Osgoode Care Centre is the only rural long-term care facility in the city of Ottawa. It has people, obviously, from Winchester that will come to it, but and there might be some folks from downtown Ottawa, but primarily it is intended for people who live in the Osgoode and Rideau former municipalities that have since been amalgamated. They're going to have to upgrade their long-term care facility. They're upgrading the beds. And in order to do that, that's going to cost millions of dollars, with, of course, as we talk about intended expenditures, no money from the provincial government. And I'd like to know how, it's different when you're talking about an urban area with lots of businesses, a lot of corporate money, a lot of development dollars, where people are going to invest in that, put their name on it. It's very difficult when you're looking at the population of one of the smallest wards in the city of Ottawa, and in some cases smaller than some municipalities outside of the region. It's very hard for them to raise that money, and they're doing their darndest, Speaker. I go there all the time. They're always fundraising. They're always trying to leverage what they can. But I don't recognize in this supply motion anything that will assist those seniors who require assistance at the Osgoode Care Centre. And the people of the Osgoode Care Centre are just wonderful people. They've contributed to our community. They're very philanthropic. They really believe in what they're doing, and I believe in what they're doing. But unfortunately, in this supply motion, there is no recognition of that, nor, Speaker, is there any recognition I expect in the forthcoming Ontario budget, which the minister herself indicated is still going to see a deficit. So I wanted to support those at the Osgoode Care Centre, and I will reiterate to them, as I have with the Lynwood Mobile Home Park, the rural Ottawa farmers, the Rideau Carleton Raceway, and to the Osgoode Care Centre, that I will continue to defend them because, again, they are everything that's good in society, and sometimes they are forgotten here at Queen's Park by this Ontario Liberal government. Finally, I want to talk about a group called the Rural Ottawa Senior Services Centre. Ross is now experiencing a $100,000 debt this year, And they are experiencing that because in rural Ottawa, they don't get the same grants that they would in urban or downtown Ottawa to look after the seniors. And they have experienced rapid growth, I believe over 40% growth. And I'll tell you why, Speaker. Because there are places in rural Ottawa that are growing and expanding, and the population is exploding. And I'll speak to you in terms of Manotick has a new housing development. Greeley has a new housing development. Stittsville, Richmond have new housing developments, as do some of the fastest growing communities like Findlay Creek and Riverside South. And as a result of that, the seniors population has expanded. Yet there has been no recognition by the Liberals to look at this rural Ottawa service centre for seniors to give them any assistance. And so when you're looking at servicing seniors and providing them with the support that they need in a growing population and then an expanding seniors population, because our community is getting older, it is very difficult. So my urge, and I asked the previous Minister of Seniors and I've asked this current Minister of Seniors to do something about this, because they will be in a position by the end of this month, which by the way is Friday, they will be in a position where they will have to take from their reserves, and that is not sustainable in order to service our growing and expanded seniors population. The people at Ross are doing good work. They're doing good work for seniors who want to stay at their home, and it was this government that decided they wanted to bring in an aging at home strategy, which at the end of the day hurts the Osgoode Care Centre. So if you're not going to fund the Osgoode Care Centre to expand, and you're not going to fund them to upgrade their beds, then you better support Ross so that you can keep those seniors in their home. And that's not what's happening. So when I look at this supply motion, when I look at what's going to happen in the next budget, I don't see a recognition that there is anything there for rural Ontario. I don't see that there's anything there for rural seniors. I don't see that there's anything there for the people who are providing us with our food. I don't see anything there for those who are suffering from poor water quality. So, Speaker, I will be forced to oppose, obviously, the government's supply motion. I will be forced to do that, because if I look at the people of Carleton, the people of Carleton do not have the support of this Liberal government. So therefore, I cannot support this Liberal government's supply motion. And I haven't even gotten to talk about Nepean, but I will have an opportunity to talk about Nepean when I talk about the budget. I will have an opportunity over the next 16 months to talk about Nepean, and hopefully beyond that in this legislature, because the people of Nepean have been gracious. I obviously represent there. I'm a hockey mom there, Speaker. I was awarded this past Saturday by my daughter's hockey team as the trainer, as the distinction of everybody's mom. And that was one of the most proudest things I could ever have. I've won 4 elections. I've won Ottawa's favourite politician from Faces magazine. I've been awarded many things in my career, Speaker, but the best was this certificate I received from those little girls that I coach or train in hockey, and it was quite remarkable. But we did a wonderful day of humanity, inclusion and acceptance at Nepean. Happens to be the fastest growing constituency in all of Eastern Ontario, one of the top 3, I believe, in all of Ontario. And it's a very diverse, exciting place, one where I've been able to open probably more schools than every other Ottawa MPP combined, so I do have that wonderful distinction as well. And we're going to continue to do that. But we still have issues, and some of them are mental health issues. And before I conclude, Speaker, I want to raise one more thing, and that is the challenges that we are facing with opiate addiction and overdoses in the City of Ottawa. And that's happening in Canada, but it's also happening in Barrhaven and Nepean and Gloucester and other places that I represent. But in Nepean, we are working on having an addiction facility and a place that children can go if they have mental health issues. And it will be run through Nepean Rideau Osgoode Community Resource Centre and hopefully housed with the new Salvation Army that is being built in Nepean. And I'm working with this dynamic group, Speaker, because what we want to do in the month of May, as you know, I've disclosed that I've publicly that I have dealt with depression and anxiety, and so on my 1-year anniversary of that disclosure, I'm bringing in the Royal Ottawa Mental Health Hospital, the Queens White Carleton Hospital, the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, and the Youth Services Bureau to do panels on how kids can talk to their parents about mental health and addictions, and how parents can talk to their kids about the same. And we're going to have workshops. We're also going to have a wonderful marketplace, bringing all of the various organizations together in order for parents to have that sense that we do have the services that are required. But there's going to be a lot of fundraising in this, and I don't see that recognized in the supply motion, nor will I see it likely in the budget. And I'm going to continue to do that. But we're going to have an entire month, mental health, Youth Mental Health Month, and and we're going to start it with this wonderful summit that we're having on the 30th of April, and we're going to end it at the end of May with a hockey road hockey tournament called Top Shelf. And hopefully we'll raise lots of money at this in order to start funding this facility that we want, but we're going to need some support from the provincial government. We are short mental health beds in the City of Ottawa. We're short detox beds in the City of Ottawa. So we've been advocating as parents and as my constituents, and I often look at myself as a parent in many of these situations, for more funding for that. And that's required. I don't see it in this budget, and I haven't seen it in previous budgets. So, my constituents who are dealing with mental health and addictions have been let down. And so I will continue to advocate for those folks. And I want to sign off on this love letter to the people of Carleton just by saying that I'll continue to support them, obviously, and to the people of Nepean, obviously, I will continue to support them as well. And as a result of what I've just mentioned, Speaker, on behalf of the Progressive Conservative Caucus and our leader, Patrick Brown, we will not be supporting the supply motion. Thank you.